to Off the Stage podcast.
At some point, you should make an actual.
Yeah. Welcome to Off the Stage podcast. It's the show where we take musicians off the stage and into the pub to talk about the ins and outs of the music world. I'm James Berry, Conor Michael, and today we are joined by the fantastic Mr. Keane Baldwin.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm not bad. I'm tired, but
Yeah.
I'm here.
Cool. Late night last night?
No?
No. Just the lifestyle of a musician.
Yeah.
We get it. Normally the first question we say is what you're drinking, but we got to the pub before opening hours, so it's basically waters and Coca-Colas. So instead, who are you and what do you do in music?
So, I am obviously Keane Baldwin. I'm just a humble young man from a mining town near Nottingham. And I'm a pianist, singer-songwriter, just trying to make it into the world of music like everyone else, I suppose.
Yeah.
How would you describe your music if you had to describe it in a few sentences? What kind of, like, just to give a vibe of what you what you're about?
Besides saying pop rock, I think the best way to describe it is I'm a hybrid of all my idols in one, and that would be Chris Martin, Elton John, and Gary Barlow, or the middle-aged mums. And then somewhere in that, out I come.
Oh, that's good. That's a good mix as well.
Yeah.
It is, I was going to say.
Very piano-based.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say, yeah. So is that kind of what you grew up listening to? Like,
No, I mean, I didn't really like music until I was about 18.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I listened to music every now and then, and like when I was younger, I liked the Beatles a bit, but I was just more interested in video games and stuff like that. And then I just finished my GCSEs, and it was like June, July, and I was sat on Xbox waiting for my friends to come online. So I thought I'd jump on YouTube, and just in the recommended was Your Song by Elton John. And I'd heard the song before, but I didn't know that at the time. So I always say the universe for some reason made me click on that video.
Yeah.
Clicked on it, listened to it, and then that's where it all just changed for me.
Yeah.
so something just like clicked in your brain, thinking,
Yeah.
this is what I want to do.
Yeah,
That's cool.
it's 'cause I always, throughout GCSEs and stuff, I mean, I wanted to be a chef for a bit, and then I thought, okay, well, there's not enough money in that, I'll be a history teacher.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wasn't passionate about that before, it'll do. And then I heard Elton, and I watched some clips, and then I thought, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
That is it.
It's funny how you say, there's no money in being a chef, but you choose a musician.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true. Beforehand, you were saying, before we record, you're saying you're doing music in uni at the minute.
Yes.
What kind of music are you doing? Is it like production? Is it
To be honest,
like an overall?
it's like bits of performance, bits of production, but I mean, I have to say to lecturers, I don't really give a crap about the degree.
Yeah.
I'm using it for the facilities and just to get to know people and to
That's
do
good.
the
But
moment to feel
honestly,
it.
it's such an underrated thing, especially when you're younger. But they call it networking, but it's really just making friends and getting to know people in your area that you want to kind of progress in. But uni's a really good place for that.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what degree you're doing, you're gonna get something cool.
Roads front.
Realise our new microphone setup, it kind of picks up a little bit more than so you just have to, it's fine. Honestly, it's one thing I wish I learned when I was like that age, to actually get out there, just meet people, just talk to them, make friends with them, and you'd be surprised that other people are just other people as well. They're not just, even if they're kind of in a position that they can help you out, they're just people who if you talk to them and ask them, can you do this for us, they're more than happy to go, I know about that.
Yeah.
So that's just pretty cool that you're doing that.
You're all in the same boat, I suppose.
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
Or like even people older, they've been in that boat, so they get it, and it's just a great circle to be in, especially in a city like Newcastle as well.
Yeah, there's loads of like independent. I used to say like local musicians, but it's independent now. That's the word, isn't it?
Yeah, independent musicians.
There's loads of independent musicians who again have come up to Newcastle for uni and stuff like that, and then they just take off doing local gigs and stuff.
Yeah.
Is it just yourself on keys, or do you have a band behind you? Or is that
I do have a band behind me now. Yeah.
All right.
That was established about a month ago, but they're all in my year at uni, so that's like a perfect example, really. But it's funny because I'm like a pop musician.
Yeah.
My guitarist Alex, he's a folk musician, but he can play everything.
Sounds like him.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
my drummer, he's more of a like jazz rock musician, and then my bassist, he just like every other bassist just does whatever. But like together, we're like, it's great. It's weird. It's a very weird dynamic, but the sound we create, it's not like a normal, say, if everyone was pop musicians or rock musicians. So
yeah,
it works well.
That's good. So when you were setting a band up, did you have the idea of, look, I know I do the keys, I want a band, or you're like, oh well, he plays drums, that could be a good addition, or how did that come about?
It's more, I suppose, like any pianist, like Elton, Billy Joel, people like that. It's like them with just the piano is great, but if you want to be selling out big venues and stuff, you kind of need the backing band to make it sound more full.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've only got one song out right now, and it's done its job, but that was just me and the piano, and then I'm pretty terrible at production, and I just thought I need the backing band, and the song that's at the end, that's my next single, and I've just had the whole band in on that, and it just sounds a million times better.
Yeah. That was called The Farewell Man?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Sounds great. Obviously, when we heard it, we didn't hear the keys because it gets plugged into the desk, but you kind of get the sense of what the sound was.
Yeah.
I do look forward to looking at the end of that.
Yeah.
So you've already released a song and you've got this one coming out. Do you produce it yourself, or do you go to studios and get it sorted?
I mean, uni has a studios, so it's got like Pro Tools and everything, and I sit there and do what I can with the production. And Alex, my guitarist, he's like whiz with production as well, so I kind of sit with him. And Ollie, the drummer, in between us, like I kind of tell them what I want, and between us we can work it out and get it done, which saves a lot of money, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Absolutely.
You know that.
I do. Yeah. It's one of them things. Like, it's good to, I'd say, do it by yourself to begin with, but I use like really local studios. Like one of mutual friends, he's got one in his, like, he's turned his garage into a studio. I used to record all my stuff there. And then I went to James's and recorded a few demos and stuff, and Horse Outside was done at yours.
Yeah.
But now I use Blast to do like the album and EP. But for starting out, I think it's helped that I've went to learn it before I went through.
Yeah.
Because I think if I just went to a studio and went, oh, can I do this? And they're like, well, we'll do this, and I was like, I don't know what. I mean, I'm still like that now, but I've got a bit more of an understanding I know what the mix is, I know what that is. So like homegrown stuff, it's pretty good, to be fair. Mm-hmm. And you get a lot of people who just be like, oh well, you should go to a proper studio to get the quality out. Yeah. But there's a fella on TikTok, Matt Bacon, I think. It's the one I keep sending to you. And he's like, if you're ever in doubt about releasing the first single, just do it, because having something out there say, look, this is the rough sound you're gonna get from me, is the best way to go. Oh well, there's something to listen to. It's a product kind of thing.
Definitely.
And then you see the progression from there onward.
There's a similar kind of rule of thought when the whole point of, like if you want to boost a post, for example, to make it reach as many people, so you pay money and like they kind of boost it for you, like the social media things. Well, they say if you want to do that, you should release it organically first and see how well it does on its own. Find out which one does the best, then you know which one is the biggest hit, then boost that one.
Yeah.
You could apply the same for songs. So you do a rough recording, release the rough recording, you find out which one people like the most, and then spend a lot of money releasing that as a full-on thingy. Which I think it's probably what I'm gonna do, to be fair.
That's a good idea.
I'm just gonna do like the recordings at my house, which I think the songs I do are okay. I mean, obviously they'll be like there, but they'll be there if you pay like proper money for it. But I'll find out what songs hit the best with the audience, and then concentrate on making them a little bit better.
Yeah,
I think that's because time's precious and so is money these days. So
that's a nice little quote to add in. So when you did your production stuff, did you do it all on your own, or did you have like, oh well, you're also doing the music uni with me, do you want to put an input in this, or what do you think? Or?
For the song I've just released, it was just all me.
Okay.
And it, building on what you've just been talking about, it's kind of Ed Sheeran said something, and my mum sent it to me on Instagram, and I think it was really powerful when he said, it's not, you'd never learn from the success, it's always from the failure that you learn from. And that whole song was just a process of failing and learning. And even after the release, it was like, all this went wrong, and I've learned from that for this single.
Yeah.
And it's just been a million times better. So that's why I don't just sit there on my own trying to produce. That's why I'm now like being more open to inviting other people in, and I think I'll do that for the foreseeable future now.
Yeah, but it's learning curves, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Said to you, I went on a UK tour last year and did like different towns, and by the end of it, I was like, oh, if I'd done this would have made that better. And like, I'm just doing one show on Saturday instead of doing the big group, and I know how to make that show better because I've done all the. Well, it's not technically a waste of money. It's actually I've done that now. I know I need to do that, and you can do it in any aspect.
Because people can tell you, oh yeah, don't do it this way, do it this way, but you don't really know why unless you do it and it doesn't work. It's always got to be like an internal failure, isn't it? It's like you can't just look at someone else and go, oh, he did that way, I'm going to do it differently. You've got to do it the way you need to do it, realise that it's wrong, and then change it. It's how you kind of organically improve and stuff.
Well, that's it. So it's like small things, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like I only noticed towards the end, like the last show I did of last year, and I was like, oh, I should be putting my own personalised Spotify playlist on in the background between the acts on, to kind of give you the feel of what you're going to see. Yeah. And it wasn't until like after the first support act had been on, I was like, oh fuck, I'll quickly make a quick playlist. Like that's what I need to do today for Saturday. But it's just small details.
You get that a lot when you go see an artist as well. So like I went to see Bruce Springsteen a couple of weeks ago, and like the music.
Is that Stadium Light?
Yeah. All the music like leading up to that was like very Springsteen, and then like I went to see Olivia Rodrigo a week before that, and then like all her music was like One Direction, Taylor Swift, all those kind of.
They want to keep the experience within a specific theme, don't they? So it's like it does make sense.
How was the Olivia Rodrigo gig?
She was brilliant. Yeah. I mean, I went to see her on her first tour. What was that? 2021, 22, and she just looked like this little dainty musician. You could tell it was just really overwhelming for her. But I still really enjoyed that. And then this recent tour, it was just
a big confidence.
Yeah, she's like grown it. Like she owned the arena, which was just crazy because the first time it was in like the City Hall kind of small venues, and it was just. It's amazing to see her grow, to be honest.
It's my stepdaughter's massive into Olivia Rodrigo. So much so that when she plays it, some of her songs have now crept into my playlist because I'm like, actually, that's not bad. Actually, I'll put that in. And I only noticed like a couple of weeks ago that she was doing a world tour. She's in the UK obviously at the minute. I thought it was just because on TikTok I thought it was just like American tours. And I was living because I was like, oh, could have took that. Completely missed out. But so far it looks like it's being choreographed to be a really good show.
Yeah, it is brilliant.
Do you know who Olivia Rodrigo is, James?
I do, yeah.
Do you?
Good for you, you're happy as hell. Like the Paramore. It's like the, I know.
Close enough, So obviously you get to know people in uni. Do you ever go to like open mic nights and other shows and meet musicians in the live field?
Yeah, I mean, Music Society, they host open mic nights, and that attracts a lot of students who aren't music students. That's been a good way to meet a few people. And then there's like Colonel Porter's. I've done that open mic.
Is that on a Tuesday?
Yeah, and all things like that. And you get to meet people through that as well. And it's great to see it's like a mini festival open mics. And I think it's always great to see and sometimes steal ideas of other genres and stuff. And I've found that to be quite useful.
Absolutely, that's the issue. Like I'd love to go back to open mic nights, but at the minute I'm at the point where I'm like gigging 6 days a week. Predominantly in this bar. We should say we're at the Dubliner today in Newcastle Quayside.
I'm sure I mentioned that.
No, I'm not sure. No. Maybe you probably did.
But get in my head.
Come July, I'm going to start cutting my gigs down so that I can get to open mic nights, and vocal rest is important, obviously. But yeah, it's that kind of community thing. We don't get much a chance to do it, which is why we've got the podcast. It's like our way of giving back into it. But yeah,
it's a funny one. Like open mic nights are like, it's like you talk about it, grassroots. That is literally where you start off. Most people start off open mic nights, and then when they start getting more gigs, like as you think, oh, I can't really make these. Like I'm kind of knackered. The bird flies its wings and flocks off to do it properly, but then you always get another batch of people. But it always starts at because that's where I started open mic nights, just doing every single week the same place, just constantly working on your song, working on yourself. Best advice you can give, if you've got a good host of open mic, he doesn't just go, oh, that was really good, he'll give you some pointers. That's what I had, which was
Scott did for me. That's where I met you though, wasn't it? What did you play that night? Can't remember, but I'm sure you played some like obscure stuff.
I always do.
Cool. Well, we'll take a short break. We'll come back with part 2. We got some Instagram questions came through earlier,
Cool.
And we'll fire them at you.
Yep,
And we'll see you shortly.
Yeah, we will see you shortly. For fuck's sake,
James normally has a soundboard, but he doesn't. You know when you don't pay for it on Spotify Premium, and he goes, "Oh, you should get."
Yeah.
He's currently got to go for the adverts before he can get to it.
Yeah.
Go on, James.
So we'll see you later.
I might get you like 6 of them cables just so you can keep them on you at all time.
Sure. And welcome back to Side 2, ladies and gentlemen, where we have some Instagram questions of fans or other people who want to ask you a question. You always look at us like that, and I struggle to talk as a beginner because when you give us like the awful, or like awkward look, I'm like, am I doing something wrong?
I was
here?
smiling. I just enjoy your baffling. You okay, Ash? Anyway, we got a few Instagram questions. Okay. So for those of you who might be new to the podcast, whenever we have a guest on, we'll put it on our Instagram stories. It's your chance to interact. First one we've got at Mrs. Berry Insta. Said, how did you get the idea of wearing the paint?
Well, I've had it for a while. I mean, I'd never really started singing in public until March, so it's still fairly new, and I've always been shy, but since I was about 18, 19, I knew the title for my EP would be In Spite of Everything, and it's an EP about my life, and I've had a lot of struggles, I mean, much like everyone else, but mine have been ones that people have said you can't write.
Yeah.
So I said, well, watch me.
Yeah.
And it came from a quote from Chris Martin where he said to enjoy life in all colours, and especially the dark ones, something around that. So I thought, okay, because the whole aesthetic is like burnt clothes and like all that, but then the spray paint on top like brings out the colour.
Yeah.
So it's like almost like at the end of the tunnel there is light, but in my case it's neon because colours really.
Yeah. That works. So do you burn your clothes when you get them?
Yeah.
Or do you you're like, you know what, they're old and used, now I'll burn them?
I mean, I kind of go for used clothes.
Yeah.
Like I go on Vinted and stuff like that. It's cheaper and in a way better for the environment, which is a bit hypocritical because I'm burning them. But I kind of get them and then think, right, I'll set fire to them. And there's been, because at my house we've got a gas hob, so it's a lot easier. But my housemates
know a lot about
complain.
that. Set my kitchen on fire last year.
They complain because the house rubbish things burn clothes or spray paint, and they're like, sometimes they'll see me in the backyard just like with a jacket on fire, just stuck watching it. I look absolutely insane, but in the end it works well. I mean, today I'm not wearing much of it.
You can see the singes on the trailers.
Yeah. I thought I'd wear the shoes at least.
That's cool. That'd be cool, like a cover photo though, whether it's for the EP or an album or whatnot, where it's just you watching the clothes burn.
Yeah.
Some kind of like demonic smile. Like, No, that's cool. That's unique.
Yeah,
Like,
it is. Yeah, it's something a bit. It's quite. What's the word? Philosophical.
Yeah.
Philosophical clothes.
Philosophical clothes.
I think it's to me as well. It's like because I was very late to becoming a musician. I've not had like the decade prior in the childhood.
How old are you now?
21.
That's not late. I got into it at 23, 24.
Right.
I'm like, and I feel old.
It's like everyone around me, they've been doing it since they've like come out of the womb. So
Yeah.
I've been like walked out of the mum with a guitar in their hands and stuff like that. And so they're obviously really talented or like singing and stuff like that. And I kind of said to myself early on, like, I'm not the best, and then that's okay. But I spent a lot of time studying musicians and like the stage, and I take a lot of focus into the image and the persona, because I think I always say that in some cases is more important than the music, because like people fall in love with the character. I mean, the best example is like Taylor Swift. She's a talented musician, great songwriter. There's like obviously a lot of better singers, but the character of Taylor Swift is what draws people in.
It's not all about just being the best player or best singer. It's about standing out. Because it's a very I don't like to say saturated market, but like there's a lot of musicians out there, and the only way you can really stand out and be unique is if you just go to somewhere that you are the best at, which is being yourself. I've got a song about that.
No, you didn't. I'm just waiting for you to finish the lyrics.
but yeah, no, it's true though, because the reason I wrote that song was because I spent ages trying to replicate and copy other people and trying to be just like them. And then you're never going to be as good as them because they are them.
Yeah.
But no one's ever going to be as good as me because
you're the best.
Because I'm the best at being me. That's the thing.
But no, it's that kind of thing. Like if you go to, like you say, you go see Taylor Swift. People go and they try and like the Eras tour. They dress up in the era of Taylor Swift. Yeah. Olivia Rodrigo. People dress up in what they think. We were going to see Tenacious D a couple weeks ago, so I kind of had to dress for the occasion. I was ripped jeans kind of thing. Obviously, Avril Lavigne, it'll be a similar kind of setup. But your crowd do kind of feel like a bit more, oh, well, I want to kind of look like that, or I want to have that persona.
We make an event. I mean, you could have everyone burnt clothes, and I mean that's a hell of a marketing thing. Just sell burnt clothes and neon paint.
Yeah, just try not to advertise burn your own clothes.
Just do it for them, and then sell
merch,
it for £10, like 15 quid or something. You don't even have to have like logos or anything. Just
singe.
Just singe it.
Singe in pink.
Honest to God, that's a hell of a flip. Oh, I wish I thought of that.
Well, you didn't. So as it stands, Thursday, 6th of June, if you end up with merch like that, James, we know it came from this podcast.
No, okay. Well, if you ever do that, let us know. I'll buy some, because that's a pretty cool idea.
Really good. Next one is at Esther.Holt1009 said, Pepsi or Coke?
Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Whenever a waitress says it's Pepsi, okay, you say but I think no.
Has anybody ever done that? Actually, no, it's not.
Joe, I did the opposite once. I went to the Odeon, I think it was. It was a cinema, and I was just under the assumption that it was always going to be Pepsi. So I was like, oh, I'll have a Pepsi. They went, is Coke okay? Yes, it is.
Here's a fun story. So this is about Brandon and stuff like that. So, have you ever heard of the Pepsi challenge? Like the blind cola challenge, the blind Pepsi. So there was an experiment in the 80s where Pepsi went round with an adverts. They had there's no branding on or anything. It was just like, try this one. One was Coke, one was Pepsi. So everyone tried it. Everybody, it was about like 95% of the pool chose Pepsi. Said Pepsi was the nicer tasting cola. So Coca-Cola was like, oh, I can't have that. So they did their own test. Same test as on ants, by the way, and ants choose Pepsi, but that's another thing. Coca-Cola did their own experiments, and they found exactly the same. So what they did is they rebranded and remade a new flavour, called it New Coke. Everybody hated it. It tasted nicer, but everybody hated it. So they had to kind of reverse everything and go back to classic Coke. They probably still have it on here, actually. Oh no, they don't have. They used to call it Coca-Cola Classic, and people loved it again. It wasn't about the taste; it was about the brand. It's about the image. Right. So you say you don't have to be the best. Just if people like the image, they'll go for it.
Well, that's it. It's like everyone has Samsung because Samsung's the best Android phone, but I won't give up my Apple.
They've got like some people who have Apple are like in the flipping cult. They won't talk to people who have like the green bloody text thing because it's like Android. You poor peasant Android. My phone's better than yours.
There's an entire TikTok trend where it's like, well, Samsung's got this. Does Apple have this? No. Well, we've got this. Do you have this? No. Well, do we have this? Do you have this? No. So which phone are you going to get? Apple. It is. It's just like brands.
Yeah, it's clever. It's so cleverly done. But yeah, if you're smart enough and you've got your own image and you've got your own kind of like persona about you, people do gravitate to that. And you don't have to be the best in anything. You've just got to get in people's heads that you're your like individual image, and it's cool to kind of like you and stuff like that. That's it. Coke, Apple. I mean, obviously these have like billions of pounds to spend, but
I thought you were saying that was like apple flavoured Coke there for a second. It took me a while to trigger on.
I know the question is, I mean, I prefer Pepsi myself, but
really,
I'm drinking Coke at the moment. Yeah, I'm a Pepsi enthusiast. Yeah. Did you know Pepsi? During the 80s had I think it was like the fourth biggest naval superpower on the planet, because they exported it to Russia and Russia couldn't afford to import Pepsi, so instead they sold Pepsi all their old naval ships and stuff like that. So Pepsi had a navy and a jet. That's another story. The Pepsi army, honestly.
Just when you thought you'd come on this podcast and talk about music.
Yeah, you talk about. Honestly, I'm fascinated by like brands and shit like that, and crazy Russians selling entire navies to get the hands on like beautiful, not Coca-Cola, but beautiful Pepsi Max.
Never changed, James.
Yeah, I'll try not to.
Final Instagram question, _Tommy Robertson said, what...
Oh no,
different one, yeah. I'm assuming a different one.
What's he doing watching the podcast?
What's your favourite moment on the new EP?
At the minute, it's probably getting it done. All the hours in the studio, and the studio gets really hot and
You
sweaty.
get really impatient with it.
Yeah.
I'm like that all the time.
Just getting it done. But the whole process of it really, it's like what I was saying earlier, learning from it. I look forward to the next one. Seeing what this one brings as well, and what people react like. That's what I look forward to. What I've enjoyed from it so far. Probably people's reactions from the single I released, because it came out and I wasn't, like the day it was released, I just lay in bed all day, sad for some reason, which wasn't a reaction I was expecting. But then I looked at my phone and like people from school that I've not spoken to for years are like, listened to it, said, "Oh my god, I can't believe it's you. This is really good." Like I said earlier as well, no one's really heard me sing, and people are like, "I never knew you could sing." So that I've enjoyed that, and writing it as well, because it's been a dream since I was like 18. The second I saw Elton John on YouTube, that was like just actually being in this moment right now, even doing things like this. It's all moments. It's kind of like, in a way, it's already living the dream.
Yeah.
And I love that. These moments are really special.
Well, that's it. Like, there'll be an end goal, but it's about enjoying the journey that you take to get there as well. And it is just like the little bits. Like, I remember my first radio interview. I think it was for Northumbria Uni, and it was just a little student radio thing. And it was really cool to be like, "Oh, this person wants to talk to us about my new single."
Yeah.
It's mint, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
And the reason we started the podcast, the reason I wanted to do the podcast is because I was hoping there'd be some form of music podcast. I've got this. There wasn't. I was like, well, I might start a podcast. I just need a co-host. And then he's like, I want to do a podcast. I need a co-host. So, episode 102. Here we are.
I had the brains. I just didn't have the banter. So
I had the banter and no brains. It's a great crack. Nothing's changed. Yeah, that's the Instagram questions really. But what was I going to say? EP. How many tracks are on the EP?
There's 6, but one of them's like an interlude, intro kind of thing. Like, you know, Sam's Town by the Killers, like interlude, exitlude, that kind of thing. That's the start. And then, the track list, I can reveal it now. So it starts with In Spite of Everything, then The Farewell Man, State of Mind, then My Biggest Fan, What's Next to Unexpect, and then it ends on a song called We'll Be There, which is like a song about, it's almost like a message from all the people that didn't know they were there, that got me through like these really difficult times, whether that be friends or like musicians.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the message. And then at the end it kind of goes into a reprise of In Spite of Everything, so the whole album loops. And I kind of incorporate that into my live shows as well, because I think it's just a really cool thing to have.
That's cool. That I like the idea of the last song as well. It's a good like outlook on it.
Yeah.
But it's cool. So does it end on like the last chord that the interlude comes in with? Does it?
Yeah.
Could it just loop?
Yeah.
Fantastic. When
that's clever. I love that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
you can just kind of. So that's what's great about that as well. You'd be listening to it, then it'll just kind of like loop, and nobody will even realise it.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, listen to the same songs again.
Yeah. Like I'm a loop pedal, so when I do it live, it's all one big loop. So I like obviously getting it perfectly right.
Yeah, you need to loop the album.
Yeah, the act I've tried, but it's just like 3 essentially capos too high to where it ends or something to where it goes to, and I'm like so
but
close.
Your next one,
Yes,
just
I
make
might
sure
find it
you write
properly.
the song in the same key.
Yeah.
Just one intro, one echo, and just like.
It is the plan.
Yeah.
But like even when you like on TikToks and stuff, where like James has watched one of my clips, he's like, this video's taking forever. It just went over like 10 times because it's just perfectly looped to the beginning. I think it was the Alone one. It clipped you. I was just rewatching it. It was just going on and on and on. It's like, but nothing's changing. It's like but it's that'll be good as well when it comes like your promoting side of things, because as James says, people are just they'll, because you won't hear the change, they won't actively be aware that the album's changed, and you probably get an extra few listens out of it, which is good.
It's like the idea behind it as well, as it's like people go into the EP kind of not knowing what it's about or anything, they get a rough idea, and they kind of get taken on this journey, then at the end, it's kind of how it starts, but this time they get it.
Yeah.
And then I hope people understand that. That's like, it's supposed like that with any musician and any song.
But it's a good art way as well.
Yeah.
Like it's making the album or EP an art, which is brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah.
Have you got any plans to straighten recording the next thing once that's out?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, because I'm here till late July and I've got access to the studio, so I'm going to try and get the band in and get it all done. So over summer it can come out, but if not, then it'll be later this year.
Cool. Mint. And when is the EP out?
I don't have an exact date. I've aimed for this summer. If not, then it'll be early autumn, like September time. Or August, September. That's the aim.
Yeah. And do you have any plans of putting a gig together alongside it? Or is it just going to be here's the EP and we'll sort of gig out later down the line?
I mean, this is I can plug it now, I suppose, but I'm playing, it's my debut headline show at the Grove. And that's where people can hear the EP in its entirety for the first time live, and even like I said earlier with the show, that light loops all together. I'll do some covers in between as well, and that's with the band. But I'm doing that. All my personal profits I'm donating to charity. Yeah, so that's going to Autism Able, and I believe they provide respite for young adults with autism. And I realised the importance of that. Cause like I said, my brother has grown up with autism, and I've had to witness that and the impact it's had on my parents and how important respite is. And people with autism also need that stimulation of the outside world as well. I'm talking with them now, and I'm going to go over there in the next week, so meet the guys as well, which I'm really looking forward to. So half of my profits going to that, and the other half is going to a GoFundMe, because a friend of mine, his partner passed away suddenly a few months ago. He was only 19, and I think that's just really sad.
Yeah.
Sorry to bring the podcast down.
No,
but I've always said to myself, because I believe being a musician, it's almost like a superpower to be able to provide entertainment and draw people in. So whilst I'm able to do that for however long I do that, I want to help those who may struggle to get help. And start now.
No, that's an inspiring way to do it.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Have you got any songs coming out that are related to the experience you just mentioned there, or is that like? Because I normally find in them kind of things that just writing helps that out.
Yeah, not about this. Not maybe subconsciously. I have, but I want to, like I say, there's been a lot, so I don't want to release an EP. I didn't want to do like a Torture Post Department 32 tracks thing. But it kind of, there's nods to it, and like when I get the opportunity to talk about it, that's where like people get to know me more and they understand the album. So if there are nods, they get that as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's what I do. That's what we said before we recorded. People like to know the person. That's what we said about going to see the personas as well. People like to know the personal intakes, and then the music's just a bonus added. Yeah, that's why we do talk first, and your song will be on after the segment.
Well, I always feel you understand the music more if you get the person. Which is why I think like the likes of Amy Winehouse, although she was a very good singer, I don't know what that is.
Okay, it's gone.
It's gone. We're still here. We're still alive.
I'm just going to revert this back. You mentioned Russia on the podcast because of Pepsi, and all of a sudden we're getting signal.
Oh shit! That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, for what you wish for.
I'll not drink any tea anytime soon.
Oh, where were we up to before that? Personas.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the song, like Amy Winehouse trying to maybe go to rehab. Like that means nothing to anyone unless you actually know the history of Amy Winehouse. There's a lot of the songs were kind of like that. They meant so much more because you knew her struggles. Yeah. So if you just didn't know who Amy Winehouse was, Back to Black would just be like another song.
I was kind of like that. Like I knew the ins and outs of it, like the basics, and the music was alright. But we went to see the Back to Black film, and when you get to see it on the inside, you're like, and I know it's not always factually everything's correct, but it's normally documented pretty well. Now you watch it and you go, this makes a lot. Like you do feel a lot more empathy for the artist.
first time I felt sorry for her was when I went to see her. It must have been one of her last gigs, to be fair. It was at Old Trafford, supporting Arctic Monkeys, and she was just off her nut. She wasn't very good at all, and you could just tell she was just totally drugged up. And I was like, this is just so sad.
Yeah.
Like I was like, didn't stay. I only stood for like 10 minutes. I was like, I'm not bothered.
I don't know if you've seen it, the Camden documentary on Disney Plus.
I've not known.
Oh no, I want to watch that though. That's about that scene, innit?
Yeah, I'm on the last episode, and that's brilliant.
Yeah.
All these artists, whether it's like Dua Lipa, Chris Martin, like guys from The Roots, all these genres, all of them talk about Amy Winehouse and like how basically she is Camden, and like almost how, like you say, a sad story it is, but like she was one of the masters of writing a song that's catchy for the casual listener, but also a message for the fans with a deeper meaning.
Yeah.
And I think people who can do that are the best musicians.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
It's interesting, Camden, I mean, that was like a massive, that was the music scene, probably in the world at that point. So to try and make Newcastle the next big scene.
We'll get there, James.
One
Just
of
the
these
North East
days.
at least.
Yeah. Like the North East, so.
Yeah. Mint. No, that's cool. So just before we say ta-ra, what is your social tags for people to drop you a follow there?
It's just the Keane Baldwin on everything. KeaneBaldwin.
Perfect. That's nice and simple. I'm sure James and Kat will edit the captions in. Just everyone as well, if you haven't yet, drop us a follow. We are at Off the Stage UK. We're 30 follows away from our target where James gets to cut his hair. Getting very close to that.
I am,
Must be sweating under there by now.
Yeah, it's lovely. Lovely and warm.
We said if we get 1,000 Instagram followers, James will shave his head.
Right, okay.
I think it's just going to be trimmed at this point though.
Yeah, I think so. The original was YouTube, to be fair, but we'll do Instagram as well.
Well, if it's YouTube, we'll shave your head.
I'll get a haircut. If it's YouTube, I'll shave my head.
There we
if
go.
it's Instagram, I'll cut my hair slightly.
Yeah.
It's not much of like a celebration, is it?
James can go back to the barbers.
It's not much of an ultimatum, is it really?
But yeah, drop us a follow if you want to keep checking out any future acts we've got on. Again, every time we have someone on, we'll put a question on the Instagram stories. You can have your say as well. If you're a musician and you want to get involved with the podcast, drop us a message. We've got a few I need to get through to today, to be fair, and just sort dates out. Thank you very much for coming down.
No, thank you for having me.
And again, I know we've mentioned it before, but because this is the next segment, would you like to introduce the song you're going to play for us?
This is my next single, Farewell Man.
Farewell, man. Okay, well, we will see you later. Thank you very much.
for now, Keane.
Very much. Cheers.
Yep. See you next time. Thank you.
Shadows rising, covers masses. Evil lurks full of dread. And I ask about the next step. There isn't one for the dead. People move without progress, looking back on what they said. And I ask if they remember. They all wish they could forget. This process simple, like when it all begun. Oh, and then we all remember life as we know it is done. Hello, farewell man. Pieces in your hand, and although spirits glow, we all have to go. Oh, and death, our friend, will be together until the end. And I know least let me say goodbye. Now they're all full of fear. Now the farewell man is here. Thrones overthrown, can't take back what's set in stone. And despite all of their faith, we all wish the same fate. No backing out, the future's now. A special place not known about. And we all wish this process simple, like when it all begun. For some the start was the end. For the rest the end has come. Hello, farewell man. Peace is in your hands. And although spirits glow, we all have to go. Oh, and death, our friend, we'll be together until the end. And I know I must die. At least let me say goodbye. Hello, farewell man. We'll all now take your hand. And we know spirits will glow. And now it's time for us to go. Oh, and death, our friend, we'll be together until the end. And we know we must die. Thanks for letting us say goodbye. Good